It's another round of salty takeaways, possibly bitter ends after the chaos that was the 4-goal madness at Stade Saputo. And Jarrett, you wanted to petition for a name change for this episode?
Yeah, it might be a name change going forward. The excuse me. The Discord wants to call it the drunken takeaway, which might be better, especially for tonight, because there were 3 red cards and 4 goals, and there could have been more. The hell did I just watch?
Yeah, that's one way to phrase it. That's one way to phrase it. All right, so here's a look at the numbers, and we'll go through the numbers, and then you can have your opening statement, because I know you have some things on your mind, and folks have chimed in on the Twitters, getting ready for Overreaction Thursday. They've started us early. Ball possession, Atlanta United, this is courtesy of our friends at SofaScore. Possession, 56-44 Atlanta, 14-12 in shots, 7 of them off target, 4 blocks for Atlanta United, only 2 for CF Montreal. 8 fouls for Atlanta United, 9 for CF Montreal, 3 yellows for Atlanta United, the 1 red to Joseph, 2 yellows and 2 reds for Montreal. We'll get into Gantar, I imagine, as well. Big chances missed, 2 of the 3 that were created for Atlanta United. Shots inside the box, 11-10. 2 saves for Brad Gazan. Passing accuracy on the whole, 88%. Crosses, 7 of 16 on the night, 18 of 23 on your dribbles, 49 out of 90 in the duel department, and 7 of 10 aerials were won by Atlanta United as well. Also another stat, 18-9 for interceptions for Atlanta United. That's a look at your numbers courtesy of SofaScore from the team perspective. Let's get into the lineups. Pretty much everybody was 6s and 7s. Your front line, Ezequiel Barco, 7.8, Marcelino, 7.5, Joseph with the red, a 7.3, George Campbell had a 7.1 at the back. Everybody else punched in the 6s. Everyone from Alan Franco at a 6.9, Anton Walks at 0.8, Santi Sosa, George Bello, 0.7, Ronald Hernandez with a good match at a 6.5, Brad at a 6.4, Marcedic at a 6.3. Then you had your subs, Jurgen Dahman, who set you both punching at a 6.6. Opening statement, Jarrett Smith.
Okay. That was your best chance to win on the road, probably, and especially now considering what happened, and you didn't do it. You have a big problem on your hands now, and that is that you're going to have to be even more perfect going forward. Which sucks, because that's kind of in the situation you're in right now. You needed to go in and to get 3 points out of this if you could. You damn near didn't get anything. So full credit for fighting back from down 2-0. Joseph seemed to decide to drag this team forward, which I think is a bit of a problem. Like, the second, kicking off after the second goal, just kind of hanging their heads a bit. Yeah, didn't love that. Joseph and Barco driving forward to Joseph, who, hits a stupid goal, dragging them back into it is great. And it's a drunken, chaotic festival of chaos. But at the end of the day, for me, and not to harp just on bad things, because we'll get into some really good things, but you needed 3 points. This was you had a stretch of games where, you wanted to get something. You didn't get anything in Orlando. You played decently. You had 2 goals and you gave up 3 because you had poor defending. You still have some things you got to clean up even tonight after this one. The second goal is inexcusable.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rob Valentino took credit for it, or took blame for it, however you want to define that, after the game. So that's on the coaching staff, but that's also on the players on the field to look around and see that somebody's literally standing wide open on the back post.
And that Montreal wanted to do it on the quick too.
Yeah, you've got to be on your toes. But at the end of the day, like, it's good that you got the point. You rescued a point out of this. This was your best shot at getting 3 points on the road, because now you're going to Columbus without a Joseph Martinez. And I'm gonna like put the spoiler alert on this one. It's not getting overturned. We'll get into it in a minute. But it's disappointing because there were 3 points to be had. You were up a man, then you were up a man again, and you had chances. And damn, Montreal hit the crossbar and came closer than you did. And it really stings to not get 3 points against the team that is holding that last playoff spot.
All right, so let's kind of run through the TikTok of what we saw here. And early on, 10th minute, you saw Joseph and Marcelino Moreno get engaged. Pantemis had to come up with a big save. Substitution, Wilfred Nancy had to burn a sub in the 13th as Hamdi came off with an injury. Samuel Piet came in and played the remainder. George Campbell had a couple of moments in the first 45. He had the big tackle on Mihailovic in the 14th, and we're used to seeing that. 2 minutes later, George Campbell gets what we've seen and what is encouraged with this current philosophy is that if anyone from the back sees an opportunity, if one of the center backs sees a lot of space in front of them, go ahead and take it, get engaged in the play, and George Campbell did that in getting paired up with Bello. Pantemis had to come up with a save. It was eventually regarded as offside, but you had two good moments from George, and then he gets the yellow card in the 27th, which kind of goes through a couple of other points that we can get into as well. But George Campbell, once again, stepping in, showing that he's not intimidated by his surroundings.
No, he's not. He's still got some learning to do, but it's to be understood. Okay, here's the thing about George Campbell. George Campbell's very good. George Campbell's a converted midfielder. George Campbell's the same age right now as Miles Robinson was when he was drafted by Atlanta. There are going to be mistakes, and this is a thing we talk about sometimes, but hell, let's just reiterate it. When people scream, and not just Atlanta people, it ain't just y'all, it's people all over the country, including national folks, when they scream, play your kids, part of playing your kids comes with swallowing the mistakes that kids make. And George Campbell's going to make mistakes. Some of them big, some of them small, some of them getting punished, some of them getting away with. But it's going to happen because if you want them to get better, you're going to have to give them those opportunities. Campbell was fine. Made a couple of mistakes, but also, broke out like a Gale Sayers run down the right side to break a press, which I thought was damn hilarious personally. He's going to make mistakes. Ideally, you're not going to see him in these situations like this because if you are playing three at the back, it's going to be Miles back there with Franco and with Walks. But George Campbell got pushed into that situation, and there's going to be things he wants back, things he wants to clean up. Overall, you put a 20-year-old out there who is shot through your system, I need to fine.
And then in that sequence where George Campbell gets the yellow, I think was a microcosm of the evening and how things were called, where you have both Mason Toye and Samuel Piet dragging Marcelino Moreno, and you get no card. They did play advantage on that particular offensive run by Moreno, but you get no card from two interactions by Montreal players, and then George Campbell gets the yellow there. And so, it seemed like this, to me, was, you got the yellow 8 minutes earlier where Kiki Struna got the yellow on Barco, but it seemed like in that 19 to 27 minute range was where we kind of saw the center ref lose control here.
Yeah, that was inexcusable. You had two guys trying to bring Moreno down. That one actually pissed me off because you have one guy who tries and fails, and the other guy who does, and they're clearly stopping the break, and he doesn't throw the card. He had trouble controlling the game. We'll get deeper into the game and to the points where he lost it. And, oh, look at that, pro. You have another embarrassment in the middle of the field. Good job. Find a ref who can control the game without throwing a card. And this starts at the bottom, man. This starts with, like, Joe Alpharetta not yelling at a young referee with his kid's U7 game out there. Hook it, get it down. Why aren't you calling that? Nah, screw that, man. Don't yell at the kids who are reffing the game. Don't yell at the young people who are reffing the game. A lot of times as teenagers, people in their early 20s. I don't give a damn if it's that. I don't give a damn if it's a grown-up adult person. Don't yell at the damn refs. You want people to become referees and to actually have efficient referees in this country? It's got to start there. Because I've watched enough games with pro to know they sure as hell don't have the right number of people who can efficiently call crazy games. And look, tonight's a crazy one. It's really weird. It's really hard to control. I get that. Damn, dude, that got out of hand in a heartbeat. I know they did fur trading up in Quebec. There had to be some really good stills up there, just like we had in the Appalachian Mountains down here. I am damn convinced both these teams crawled up into a still somewhere that had been abandoned for 150 years, surrounded by rotten beaver pelts, and found some good old moonshine and went to town on
it. And one of the things that I noticed on the TV side was, and it was, when we were discussing Atlanta United in the first 45 minutes plus, you hear Rob Valentino yelling at the players to be quicker. You hear quicker, quicker, quicker from Rob Valentino in that first 45. You hear it in the 34th minute. And it seemed like that Atlanta United was still trying to find itself and figure out the relationships, especially with the 3DPs starting, and trying to figure out where the puzzle pieces fit in that first 45 minutes.
It did. It is frustrating to me, and I know it's frustrating to a lot of people because, there are times where they're moving the ball side to side. And look, moving the ball side to side is not like a death sentence of, oh, they're moving the ball side to side, they should be condemned to an afterlife of pain and suffering. Like, it's not that, but you got to be quicker about it. You can't take your time with it and give Montreal time to get their defense set back up. And I thought they got better about that as things went on, but there's still work to be done on it. I want it to be faster getting side to side. And then, you saw it in times, I think, where, even the transition game was better where it was going forward, and sometimes where I thought the transition game kind of lagged a bit, man. It's I don't know if it's a matter of integrating guys. I thought as the game went on, personally, Barco and Marcelino Moreno started to find their groove playing together and started to be more dangerous as it went on in the second half. And I was very excited about that.
First goal happens in the 53rd, Mason Toye, and we see what Kamal Miller means to Montreal and having that kind of a presence. Miller finds Toye, who was in between Antoine Walks and George Campbell, and there was it was pretty much an easy route for Mason Toye to get it past Brad Gazan to go 1-0. We talked about George Campbell in the first 45 off a Barco corner. 6 minutes later, there was the chance for George Campbell. He had a header, but it was high. Then you mentioned that moment in the 64th where it was 2-0, where everything just fell apart at the back post. But once again, it seemed like after that second goal, it's like the switch was flipped. Pick whatever cliche you want. It seemed like there was an anger there that the switch was now turned on, and it's like, all right, so we're down 2-0. Now let's get things moving. And literally, they waste maybe a minute before Barco and Joseph get that goal to make it 2-1. And you could sense that, okay, Atlanta United was, it's like they're only down 2-1 now, and they have 25 minutes to try to get that equalizer.
Yeah, I mean, and I was really frustrated with the way they seemed to respond after that second goal. I thought their heads were hanging and they were feeling sorry for themselves, which I don't like, because guess what? No one else is going to feel sorry for you. You're not doing yourself any good with that situation. But, even on the kickoff, ball's played back and it's played out to the left, and it's damn near picked off by Montreal. I thought we were about to watch everything fall apart in that moment, but full credit to them, because Barco picks it up and just goes full Leroy Jenkins forward with the ball and plays it to Joseph, who hits a curling effort into the narrow post, and Atlanta United's got new life. Good on them for it. At that point, you're thinking, okay, well, this could get interesting, but good on Joseph and Barco for dragging them forward. And yeah, Joseph, you can see him screaming, "Come on!" trying to just get everybody going. But credit to Barco, because Barco didn't hang his head down on that. He picked his head up, or put his head down, and he barrel rolled forward into that play. Great play by him for not giving up on it as well. He's been here long enough. You want to see that from him. I don't care if he's a young guy. He's been here long enough to be a leader for this team.
6 minutes later, after your first double sub, Hosechu and Dom come in. 71st, Joseph almost had a brace out of the blocks with a header. Once again, Marcelino Moreno was the one who sent it in for him. It was just wide. Then the penalty with Camacho and Joseph that ends up with Marcelino Moreno sending it home to make it 2-2. Camacho was more than happy, I believe, to take the index finger and sit there and wave it at Dave Gantar. But
yes, he was.
But and that was the beginning of all of the madness that would start there in the 73rd. But it was called a penalty, and it was called a red, and so Atlanta gets the advantage, and Marcelino Moreno sends it home to make it 2-2.
Okay, it's great work by Atlanta to create the opportunity. Then Joseph gets in behind, makes him have to make a really Joseph actually, I think he kind of gets it caught in between his feet, but does a great job of controlling the ball and is able to get it out from under his feet and forces him into a really tough play, and he gets the foul. Joseph's 1v1 with the keeper in a situation where you're 9 times out of 10 you're saying to yourself, oh, this is a goal. So yeah, it falls under that dog. So coincidentally, Atlanta got burned by the same thing in 2017. LGP in Montreal, he got popped for the same thing. Difference being that 2017 one was a dive that got rescinded on review committee disco. This was a penalty and was a red card. I mean, he denied an obvious goal scoring opportunity, and it sucks not having Joseph take those penalties because of Joseph's history. It's very nice having Marcelino Moreno, who is pretty much nails from the spot.
Well, and the way that I saw it to a certain degree is that it took a while for Joseph to sit up after that contact.
And he took a knock.
And so Marcelino Moreno took the ball, and in that moment, I could see that, it's like, all right, Marcelino Moreno's ready. Let Joseph recover. Let him get back to full song, and then you can have him for the final 20. But you only had him for basically 6 more minutes, because then you had the madness. You had the madness in the 79th, and it took 3 minutes and a review and looking at the monitor and the drawing of the invisible rectangle by Dave Gantar. It ends up with reds for Joseph and Victor Wanyama, and it looked like Victor Wanyama still wanted to get things charged up after the fact as they were heading down the Videotron, the tunnel presented by Videotron. What did you make of everything that happened behind James Pantemis?
Okay, I guess I don't know if let's get unpopular. I think you're not appealing Joseph's card, because I think Joseph made contact head to head, like did a little bit of headbutting action. I think that's what they threw Joseph's red for. Wanyama absolutely puts hands around the throat, deserved to get sent off 100%. Baits Joseph into it, but Joseph goes head to head, and I think that's why they gave it to him. You're not going to appeal that, or you might appeal it. I just don't think you should, because I don't think it's going to get overturned. Save those appeals for when Pro really screws up, like with Jake Mulroney.
Yes.
Yeah, Pro.
Or in Miami with John Gallagher's incident.
Oh my God, I don't even want to think about it. That was my favorite one, I think.
Yeah.
Like blatantly ignoring the entire rules of the game. Great job, Pro. God, you're clueless sometimes. But yeah, I don't think this is getting overturned. And yeah, Wanyama baits him into it. I'm very curious what was said as they're walking off the field, because Joseph didn't really react. It's not like he squared up on him.
But you could tell Victor Wanyama wanted to carry on a conversation.
Victor Wanyama still had some thoughts he wanted to share. I'm very curious what those thoughts were, but I don't necessarily know if he was trying to square him up again. I won't assume one way or the other. Maybe he was giving him some recommendations for poutine.
Where do you think the best poutine is in town, Joseph?
Like maybe he was giving him the Harry Carey of asking Joseph if he was a hot dog, would he eat himself?
Yes.
I don't know. The tunnel cam was great. That was amazing. But yeah, the whole sequence was insane. It marked the point in the game where the game went truly off the rails, and the official at that point was it was like watching a small rabbit try and cross an interstate.
Yeah, it was definitely Frogger at that moment, and to borrow the phrase,
zero chance.
No, to borrow the phrase from Mike Conti, Dave Gantar turned into a blackjack dealer. After that, first off, you had the Broguillard shot that goes off of the crossbar and ends up getting deflected, and a chance they're down a man. It's 9v10, and Broguillard, who comes in as a substitute, gets a shot off the crossbar. Then, so the blackjack dealer goes, Jürgen Damm gets a yellow at 90. And then Marcelino Moreno gets a yellow at 95-30. And then, even with all of that chaos, you still have the chance at the end with Barco and the cutback to Santi Sosa right there at the close.
And Santi Sosa went full Willie Mo Pena and swung for the damn fences. And God bless you, son. You didn't have to do that.
Just hit a clean single.
He went full swing hard in case you hit it. And we talked about it before, man. That thing landed somewhere in Bobcaygeon. That thing is still flying. NORAD is picking up the flight of that ball as we speak.
And
if they could find that ball, it would be, if they were still around, that ball would be on the cover of the next Tragically Hip album.
Yes, it would. And they'll probably find more material. And so whatever the province is next to Saskadelphia, yes, it'll be the next province over. So what we'll do is now go into the thoughts of everybody who has joined in, and let us know their what kind of takeaways are they tonight, Jarrett?
They're drunken takeaways. I don't blame anybody if they're feeling a little drunk after that mess. Good God Almighty.
All right. So Chris Hutchison says Joseph's out for the next game. Another Pyrrhic draw.
Yeah. As the old saying goes, the Pyrrhic victory. Another victory like that, and we'll be undone. But it's good because you came from 2 goals down and found a point. It's not good because
you went 2 goals down and had to find 2 goals to get back.
Yeah, and Joseph and Barco had to drag you back into it, and now you don't have Joseph going to face a Columbus team that has had your number for the last few years, and now you don't have Joseph, and you're going to Columbus to whatever the hell name their stadium is.
Lower.com, but you're looking
Makes me think of guaranteed rate field.
Oh, I know. Well, and DC beat Columbus tonight at Lower.com 4-2. So you're gonna have that as well. And for Columbus, you had Eloy Room with a 5.5, Keita at a 5.9.
Eloy Room is just loading up the super weapon of saves for the next game, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
That's fun.
So you had 2 players under 5 or under 6 for Columbus. A lot of 6s and some 7s in there. Lucas Zellerano.
Good on DC though. Seriously, good on DC. They've really been impressive.
Yeah, DC, and and apparently Bill Hamid had to go off because of an injury, but that's another story in and of itself. Let's see. So also on the board is Ike Taylor. Barco's a bust. You'll feel better when you say it out loud. I have to vehemently disagree.
Barco's a talented player. I'm okay with Barco moving on because he can't seem to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And I think he could do for a fresh setting. If he's going to play like he did in the second half tonight, maybe hold on a second, player. And if you can get him to play with Marcelino Moreno the way they played in the second half, I'm intrigued. Let's see what can happen. Barco's talented. It hasn't worked here, though.
And let's see. Patty Gunther is in, and I think she leads the league in emojis and symbols to symbolize how salty it was for her. It's 8 anger emojis, a poop emoji, a goat emoji, and symbols saying, symbols choking Joseph, how dare you, more and more symbols, anger emojis, red card, and then a goat and a poop emoji. So Patty G's all wound up tonight.
It's a lot of emojis.
Yeah,
everybody's wound up, I think, after that one. And, it sucked. It was, it's a draw. I mean, it's MLS after dark, and all those games are always fun. But when you need 3 points because you haven't won a game in 12, feeling one gets away from you in that instance sucks. And there's, I don't blame anyone for looking at that and the insanity of that game and looking at it as that's an opportunity missed, because, yeah, it is.
Will Dickerson, we discussed why we thought Joseph saw the red. He also wants to know what it'll take to shake the front office up and what it'll take to get 3 points. The last one, finish your chances, much like we saw with the last chance with Sosa trying to get the shot off the half volley at 90+.
Yeah. Look, man, I don't know how to answer front office questions because I don't live in that world. Y'all can keep asking me about the front office. Like, I'm going to tell you, I don't know. Like, if y'all want to like, please don't march down there like Marseille. Like AVB being like, nope, I'm out. Fans are insane. Don't march down there or anything. But like, I don't know. Look, I don't know what to tell y'all about the front office. Like, I mean, there have been some moves that I don't necessarily agree with. There have been moves I've agreed with. I think it's pretty much par for the course, and I think the expectation you set and the fact that you haven't hit it the last 2 years expedites all of this, or expedites that expectation and the feelings about it. But I'm not going to tell you one way or another, man. I don't know.
Jason Joyner, Cycle Pirate Triple J on Twitter. MLS officiating continues to be an eyesore.
Yes, it does. I already ranted about this.
Yes.
Be good to the refs at the lower levels, y'all. I mean, if it's like somebody reffing like a teenager reffing like a U8 game, man, be good to those refs, because those are the kids who are going to like potentially continue doing it and become good at their job, and that's kind of important. Pros refs are pro. Yeah. I've spoken my piece about pro more than enough. They really agitate the hell out of me, mostly because I operate with them under the same hey, yo, let's do some Black Hawk down here. I operate with them the same way I do MLB umpires and NFL officials. A lot of times when it comes to video review, they care more about protecting their buddies than they do about getting the call right.
All right.
That's my perception based on what I see from the terrible work they do.
Yeah, and it is, and I think that you have the younger center refs, and it's a point that we've discussed on the network a lot, where if you have a VAR who is more experienced than the center ref may defer to the VAR in these cases because of the seniority issue. And then on the other side, if you have a VAR who is a younger ref than an experienced center ref, that VAR may not want to either intercede or challenge because of the hierarchical structure of what we're seeing in these cases sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mess, and yeah, I mean, it's very much Black Hawk down here with that conspiracy theory, but like, because of some of the calls that have been made, not just in Atlanta but around the league, like, yeah, there are times I'm like, y'all make it really easy for people to look at it and go, do y'all actually care about getting calls right, or do you care about protecting your buddy? And I know there's a fraternity with officials. I get that. It's like that in every sport. You can't sacrifice the integrity of the game and getting calls right and screwing up games. Hello, Jake Mulroney call, when you have VAR and you're not using it efficiently to call the game the right way, just because you think your compadre made a boo-boo and you don't really want to like show them up. Screw that noise.
All right, let's play cliffhanger for the remainder of the folks on Twitter, and thank you for everyone who has chimed in for the salty drunken takeaways and bitter ends. Nick and Jack 88 says the last 20 minutes were real good, more of that, and then he says we tied because we were stupid. And he posts the GIF from Top Gun when Goose and Maverick get beaten in the game by Tom Skerritt and Michael Ironside, with Anthony Edwards going, we regret to inform you that your sons are dead because they were stupid. So he pulled a Top Gun gif to make his point.
Man, Top Gun. Oh, buddy. Y'all didn't need to make a sequel. I promise you didn't. Top Gun's fine by itself. Yeah, I mean, you put yourself in a bad situation. Nobody steps on the long distribution on the first one, and then nobody's covering a man standing alone at the back post. That's a beautiful finish, by the way, just so we're clear.
Yes.
But nobody's like doing their job like they should be.
Right.
So that's kind of a problem. But yeah, you put yourself in a bad situation and you made it to where you had to, go scramble 2 goals. You did. That's great. But yes, this should actually absolutely be a part of this conversation of you cannot be putting yourself in these situations when you're trying to figure things out.
Right. Michael Head is in, and he wants to know, are we ever going to win again, closing in on 3 months?
Yeah, I mean, at some point, you'll go back into a win at some point. I mean, At some point, you're going to win a game 1-0 where the other team has an XG of like 4, and Atlanta wins because a keeper like slipped and fell and broke his femur or something, and the ball just trickled under his leg. I don't wish a broken bone on anybody or anything, but it's going to be a dumb game like that. Like, yeah, you'll get one eventually. It's just an annoying as hell wait because you've got in this stretch, you have 2 blown 2-goal leads with 80 plus minutes off the clock.
Yeah.
You have, what else do you have? You have this. You have Orlando. You got a lot of really frustrating games in this stretch. And honestly, I think that makes it as stressful as anything for everybody because you have games here where you're thinking, man, we haven't won a game in forever, but we've also lost games that we shouldn't be losing. Because and I think part of it is if you feel like this team is good enough to be a playoff team, then it gets twice as frustrating when you see them losing games like this.
Turner Kirby's in, and he says, so we all know meaning you, Jarrett, your fascination with the drunkenness that was this San Jose match.
Yes.
If Atlanta had won this game, would it have passed that game on the drunkenness chart?
No, because that game went from 4-3 to 5-3. San Jose was at 4-2 to 5-3, 5-2, whatever. Point being,
it went from 5-2 to 4-3.
Yes, because Atlanta United went from being down 3 goals in that game, back to being down 2 goals, and then to winning the game at the very end. You go back and watch that play, you're like, oh yeah, that's Miguel Almiron on the outside with Joseph Martinez floating on the back post. Of course he scored. This would have been second on that list. It might be. I might have to redo my list of drunken Atlanta United games. Absolutely.
And so Turner follows it up by saying, so that was a game that happened. Defense got too shaky at the beginning of the second half. Another sloppy defensive third turnover sets up the first goal. Barco goes full road runner with a great layoff to Joseph. Then all hell breaks loose and the cabinet is broken into.
Look, I love that Barco got so damn direct with that run and just go almost like screw it, I'll just do it myself. And then Joseph was standing there, and yeah, more of that, please. I mean, you don't always have to go off the reservation and do it yourself, but don't be afraid to drive into it. And I like that I think we've gotten more of that from Marcelino Moreno, for example.
Tiki Taka at ATL UTD 24/7. Not sure why we didn't put in a striker, preferably Conway, when Joseph went out. How bad was the second goal allowed? We talked about that. So very
Rob
Atlanta.
Valentino addressed that. He said that's on him making that decision of whether or not it was the right idea or wrong idea to not put on Conway. I think you should have done it. I thought you should have done it at the time because you are chasing. You need points.
Yeah.
You needed 3 points, and I thought I've liked what Rob Valentino has done for the most part. I disagreed with that decision to not put in a striker.
Let's see. And then Turner says about Barco, don't think Barco's getting enough credit for the run on the first goal. Dude ran the whole field, set up Joseph perfectly. So
no, he's not. And George Campbell's not getting enough credit for going Gale Sayers in the first half at one point where he just decided to break the press on his own.
Duke at Duke DFS. Fantastic response, but outrageously sloppy defending. Again, is Guzan worth the money? No. Did Joseph deserve a red? No.
Like I said, I think Joseph's getting that red for the headbutt. That's just me. Now watch Pro come back and say, oh no, he got it because he pushed. I'm kind of giving Pro the possible answer to that, and they're going to reject it because they're Pro and they're just not competent. God bless you. But yeah, you gotta clean up the defense because, man, Columbus has been having trouble scoring goals. You keep making mistakes defending. I promise you, they're not going to have as many problems. You should get Miles Robinson back for that game though, and that should help a ton.
Turner says, with the way it was looking, he'll take the draw and only having one player suspended next match because it looked like there could have been more for a bit. And also, you're welcome for the 2 suspensions, DC. So yeah. Yeah, exactly. Megan Garrison is in, and we discussed why we think Joseph was sent off after Megan says after literally being choked, and we think it was because of the headbutt to Wanyama as a part of that jostling. Jillian Gaffigan, excessive draws are a path to the bottom. That's what Jillian says.
Yeah, you mean, like I said, I can go broken record. That's fine by me. You got to start winning games.
Yeah.
You have to. Like, it's a great draw. It's a good fight. You have to start winning games. You don't have a choice anymore.
Mm-mm.
If you want to make the playoffs, you got to start winning games that maybe you shouldn't. You look back and go, man, you had no business winning that game, and they pulled it out. You got to start having those. If you want to make the playoffs, you got to start stealing points. That should have started tonight. And it's a disappointment that it didn't.
Yeah. And to that point, Shiva's the last one in on the takeaways on the Twitter timeline. And Shiva says, this might sound super negative, but realistically, forget about the playoffs. Let's just hope we don't finish at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, I don't think they'll finish at the bottom of the table. It's just Miami's not good. And I think Atlanta will find wins before this is all said and done.
Yeah.
I think they will find themselves. I don't know if they'll find themselves in time, which really pisses me off.
Well, and I will reemphasize the point that Brian Dunseth made when he was paired with Kevin Egan on the national game on the weekend. We're at the halfway point of the season. And because of how things are stacked in both the East and the West, Dunny said on the air that there's going to be a lot changing in the standings because of how things currently are, and how, because you got schedule compression and you're at the halfway point and all these things that are in play, folks coming back from international windows, folks getting healthy, all of these factors. Dunny said when he was paired with Kevin that he foresees a lot of shaking up going on in the standings in the East and the West because of all of those factors. So, I mean, yes, Atlanta United has to steal some wins on the road. Yes, they've got to get points in places where we didn't originally think that they might be getting them. But I am with Dunny here that you're going to see a lot of shakeup in both conferences with the standings for this final half of the season, because we are just starting the month of August when it comes to the calendar.
It's true. The problem is for Atlanta is there are a lot of teams in front of them. So you have to take care of your business, and you're going to be in a situation where you're going to be needing help. That's my issue with them.
And the one note that you wanted to get in before we go it came from Stephen Goff, and it looks like Jeremy Ebobisse heading to San Jose for $1.16 million in general allocation money per a source. So he can be the number 9 in San Jose. You're looking at the cap situation probably for the situation in Portland. So it looks like Jeremy Ebobisse is heading to your Quakes, Jarrett. What do you think?
I am very curious how he is going to fit in and do what he can do there. Ebobisse's had a weird career for a dude who I kind of pegged as coincidentally, it was actually the guy I wanted Atlanta to draft in 2017.
Right.
We didn't know what Joseph Martinez was going to be at that point, in my defense. And I really liked what Ebobisse was doing at Duke. Man, I'm very curious what he does in Portland, and in San Jose, and very curious what Portland does with all that money and free space.
And that will be questions that will start with tomorrow. Remember, tomorrow it is an overreaction Thursday. Jason will be north of the border, and Jarrett and I will be in our respective offices. I'll be in Office HD, and we will get things started. And remember that it might be audio only because of how the internet signal was affected by probably maple syrup and the border and like 98 different other things. But just keeping a listen to your favorite social media platforms, and keep an eye on things. Obviously, twitch.tv/soccerdownhere. Go to soccerdownhere.net. You can listen to the show that way as well. But it will be an overreaction Thursday, bright and early Thursday morning. Jarrett, that is it for Drunken Takeaways. Send us home.
Wine before whiskey, mighty risky. Whiskey before wine, mighty fine. Y'all just drink in the right order, especially if we're going to have drunken MLS games.